Okay, let's get started. In the chat box, I just put the YouTube link in case you get kicked out for any reason, or if it's easier for you to follow on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you can answer questions in the comments, but you cannot unmute yourself to speak and like join the conversation. If you are in Zoom, you'll be able to ask questions in a variety of ways, as well as unmuting yourself. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk about ECMS Gardena in 2021. We have some changes that we want to communicate and make sure that everyone's on the same page so we can set everyone up for success. And we're hoping that we have the opposite of what happened in 2020. In 2020, we started the new year in person and ended virtually. We are hoping that in 2021, we are starting virtually, but we're hoping that we end it in person. Gracias por andar aquí. Si puse en la caja chat la enlace para YouTube en el evento que sea más fácil para ustedes ver la junta en YouTube, o si se tienen que ir temprano, pueden regresar a ese enlace en el futuro y van a poder ver esta junta en total. Si andan en YouTube, van a poder hacer preguntas por escrito, pero no van a poder activar sus micrófonos por YouTube. Feliz año nuevo. Esperamos que ojalá este año tendremos el contrario de lo que ocurrió en 2020. En 2020 empezamos el año escolar o empezamos el año nuevo en persona y acabamos virtualmente. Ojalá que este año que vamos a empezar virtual, acabemos en persona. Me voy a presentar primeramente. Mi nombre es David Trejo. Yo soy el director de ECMS Gardena. I am Mr. Trejo, the principal of ECMS Gardena.
Good morning, parents and families. I am Dr. Ramirez Holden, the assistant principal.
Good morning, parents and families. I am Ms. Royal, Dean of Student Culture here.
Good morning, parents and families. I'm Ms. Heron. I'm the Inclusion Education Coordinator.
Aquí conmigo tenemos a la subdirectora, doctora Ramírez Holden. Tenemos a la decana Royal, que se encarga de cultura estudiantil. Y tenemos a Ms. Heron, que es la coordinadora de la educación inclusiva aquí en ECMS.
Just to review our agenda today, we've just completed introductions. We'll be reviewing our master schedule updates for your kiddos and some resources for you and your students, as well as the NWEA assessment.
Para darles repaso de lo que vamos a platicar hoy, acabamos de hacer introducciones. Vamos a platicar de las actualizaciones del horario diario. Les vamos a comunicar algunos recursos y vamos a platicar del examen NWEA.
Throughout this presentation, parents, if you have any questions, you can use the chat box at the bottom of the screen. You can also raise your hand and keep your hand raised just in case no one sees it just yet or we're still presenting. And then we'll allow you to unmute yourself and ask those questions. That'll be throughout the presentation and at the end as well.
Hay una variedad de maneras en que pueden hacer preguntas hoy. Pueden levantar su mano virtual por empujar el botón que tiene la mano allí virtual. Si andan levantando sus manos en cámara, no lo vamos a poder ver. En la caja chat van a poder escribir y cuando le damos permiso virtual a platicar, tienen que activar su micrófono o pueden hacer las preguntas escritas por chat o por YouTube. So the first thing that I wanted to go over was something that I'd like to just explain or re-communicate every time we have a meeting. There's a lot that we can focus on this year. I hope the background noise isn't too bad, but we have 3 org-wide priorities as we enter the new year and as we enter the school year. 1, we want to confront anti-Blackness and racism in our organization and in our world. And we do that through a variety of ways, including reevaluating what it is that we're teaching and ensuring that all voices are honored and ensuring that our Black and African American students are achieving at the same rate, if not higher, than their non-Black peers. We want to align systems for effective and equitable distance learning. We want the systems and schedules to make sense. We want to allow for relationship building. We want to have constant communication between the families and ourselves, and we want school to be as fun as it can be virtually without having the in-person interactions that unfortunately we cannot have at this time. And we want to deepen reading apprenticeship practices by focusing on disciplinary literacy. What that means is that we want to go beyond just reading and highlighting. We want students to engage in text, to push back, to question, to form strong opinions rooted in accurate evidence. Al lado de las prioridades de la organización, me gusta platicar al lado de esto, empezando cada junta, porque hay tanto que nos podemos enfocar. Si nos tratamos de enfocar en todo, no vamos a poder hacer nada bien. Entonces, hemos elegido 3 prioridades. Esto, si han llegado a juntas anteriormente, no va a ser la primera vez que escucha esto. Nuestra primera prioridad es enfrentar los sistemas antinegros y el racismo en nuestra organización y en nuestro mundo. Y la manera en que andamos logrando esta meta es andamos haciendo reflejo al lado de qué libros, qué textos elegimos para que lean los alumnos. Nos aseguramos que puedan ver varios perspectivos en la historia, no solo la historia de una raza. También nos queremos asegurar que nuestros estudiantes africanos y americanos andan logrando igual, si no más alto que sus alumnos, los otros alumnos en sus clases. Queremos alinear sistemas para el aprendizaje a distancia efectivo y equitativo. Nos queremos asegurar que el horario funcione, que tengamos comunicación constante, que tengan clase de asesoría para tener relación con los maestros y que tengamos herramientas de participación para que las clases sean divertidas, no solo requisitos. Y queremos profundizar la práctica del aprendizaje de lectura, que quiere indicar que no solo queremos que los alumnos lean, pero queremos que lean en manera más profunda en cada clase, que sepan cómo hacer conexiones, cómo pronosticar y cómo usar el texto en manera mucho más profunda. So the next thing that I just want to talk about is the number one question that I still get is, when are we going back in person? And as of now, I think I'm going to communicate with families month by month. By the end of January, you'll have an answer for February. By the end of February, you'll have an answer for March. And at this point, really, like with so much up in the air, we can go month by month. However, yesterday, the LA Department of Public Health has advised strongly that schools stop all in-person operations for the rest of January. To give context, the daily new cases as of reported on January 7th were close to 20,000. Going back to pre-October, they were under 800. And so now they're much higher than they have been because of the holidays, we assume. So we are going to put a hold on in-person learning through January. But as soon as I have more information, you will have it. We'll push it out as soon as we have it. Al lado de la pregunta que agarra más frecuentemente, si los alumnos, ¿cuándo van a regresar los alumnos en persona? Estos son los estadísticos del COVID ahorita en el condado de Los Ángeles. En octubre, antes de el fin de octubre, los casos andaban bajo de 1,000, hasta ciertos días bajo de 800. Ahorita ya están casi 20,000, entonces el condado nos comunicó ayer que quieren que no abremos por todo enero, y ahorita vamos a ir y vamos a comunicar mes por mes. Antes del fin de enero les vamos a comunicar qué es el plan para febrero, y antes del fin de febrero qué es el plan para marzo, pero siempre les vamos a dar suficiente comunicación y ustedes van a tener voz y abogacía en esto. And just to clarify, you'll always have voice and choice in this. When we get to the point, at least in this school year, I shouldn't say calendar year, but in the school year, when we have opportunities to return on campus, you'll have a say in that. You won't be required immediately. I can't make any promises for next school year, but for this year. So let's talk master schedule.
All right, good morning, everyone again. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our master schedule and how we got to where we are now. So this timeline shows you in March, we started distance learning last March in 2020, and we were experimenting, and our main goal was to support. Then we moved to the summer, and as a leadership team, we reflected a lot and we planned. We used feedback, research, and state guidelines to plan for this school year. And then we moved into semester one. This is where we created a master schedule and we were pressure testing our systems. And we're doing a lot of progress monitoring, surveys, and taking all of that feedback in. And so for semester two, we have revamped, done some updates to our master schedule. So we took learnings from March from semester one to plan for this semester. And this is our schedule we're going to present to you today.
Al lado de la cronología, le queremos platicar al lado un poco de cómo hemos llegado aquí. En marzo comenzó el aprendizaje a distancia y de inmediato tuvimos que experimentar y aseguramos que andábamos apoyando a todos con comida, con dispositivos electrónicos, pero solo se trataba de experimentar y apoyar porque nunca lo habíamos hecho así. Durante el verano hicimos reflejo y nos ponimos a planificar basado a las lecciones que aprendimos desde ese tiempo bien brevemente en el segundo semestre, de marzo a junio. En el primer semestre ya pusimos sistemas nuevos con más tiempo para planear y hemos visto que algunos funcionan muy bien y algunos ocupan un poco de cambio. Entonces ya con este segundo semestre hemos aprendido las lecciones de marzo, las lecciones del verano, las lecciones del primer semestre y pensamos que este nuevo horario va a ser en el mejor interés de todos.
So specifically, the problems that the master schedule posed in semester one, there wasn't enough screen times and breaks. Supporting students that struggled within the school day was a bit of a challenge. ELD classes was difficult to fit without overlap. Counseling and IEP related services were difficult to accommodate. Transitions from advisory class to class was non-existent. 2 specialty classes for students was difficult to manage. So many links were confusing for students, support providers, and families. Building relationship with non-advisory classes was challenging.
Thank you, Dean Royal. Los problemas que vimos en el horario en el primer semestre que vimos al lado de lo que observamos y al lado de la realimentación que nos dieron ustedes y los alumnos. No hubo suficientes descansos enfrente de la pantalla. Era mucho tiempo sentado. Fue difícil apoyar a los estudiantes que andaban batallando más que otros alumnos durante el año escolar, durante el día escolar. La clase de ELD fue muy difícil encajar sin que los alumnos tengan que faltar a otra clase. Y los servicios de consejería y otros servicios de IEP fueron difíciles adaptar porque los teníamos que dar durante el tiempo de descanso y los alumnos no perdían tiempo. Los alumnos que agarraban más apoyo acababan con todo el día enfrente de la pantalla. La transición de la clase de asesoría a la primer clase también fue una batalla porque no había tiempo allí. Que los alumnos tengan 2 clases electivas fue mucho manejar para ellos y comunicaron que fue difícil. Y habían tantos enlaces que fue fácil perderse. La enlace de un día no funcionaba otro día y fue muy confuso. Y construir relaciones con los maestros cuando no tenían la clase de asesoría fue difícil porque no tuvieron tiempo, andaban tan apurados.
So through feedback from surveys, from the problems that we recognized per semester, these are our semester 2 changes. Our advisory there's going to be advisory 3 times a week instead of 5 times a week. Grades 6 and 7 ends the school day at 3:10 and 8th grade ends the day at 3:30. Advisory sharing, there's no transition from advisory to core teacher. So it'll go from advisory to their next class with the same teacher, if I'm saying that properly, if y'all are understanding that properly. One specialty per quarter per student. So instead of 2 specialties, they'll only have 1. Specialty classes are going to be live for 2 days and asynchronous for 2 days a week. So with the asynchronous, they'll still have to meet at a certain time, but they'll have their independent work. Tutoring and intervention days are included with that. Asynchronous specialty days, potentially to reduce the screen time, of course, that's why we made those 2 days. ELD has 2 sacred 60-minute sessions weekly. That was very difficult in first semester, but we found that time for it. 1 master link for each group of students. That was probably one of the biggest issues with our kiddos, that link to certain classes, but now there's 1 link for them to go through. It'll be so much easier. Counseling and other pull-out supports and possible tier 3 interventions during asynchronous specialty time. So there's more time built in for that. And longer screen time breaks between blocks. So those 2 1-hour breaks for your kiddos throughout the day.
Al lado de los cambios para el nuevo semestre, en vez de tener la clase de asesoría 5 veces a la semana, la van a tener 3 veces. Las clases de grado 6º y 7º acaban a las 3:10 en vez de las 3, y las clases de grado 8º acaban a las 3:30 en vez de las 3. Tienen asesoría con más de un maestro, lo tienen con 2 maestros para poder tener tiempo con ellos para establecer relaciones más profundas. Los alumnos van a tener 2 clases de especialidad por todo el semestre, pero solo una clase de especialidad por cuarto. Entonces, una en el tercer cuarto, cuando se acaba eso, van a tener la otra. Entonces, no se tienen que preocupar de esa clase extra cada semana. En esa clase de especialidad, que ocurre 4 veces a la semana, 2 días van a estar en vivo, 2 días van a ser asincrónicos. Y quiere indicar que durante esos tiempos los alumnos van a llegar, vamos a tomar asistencia, y después todos los alumnos que están a fecha con sus tareas van a poder ir a trabajar independientemente sin tener que andar presente en la clase allí. La van a poder hacer el trabajo independiente. Si ocupan más apoyo los alumnos, durante ese tiempo lo van a poder agarrar. Teniendo esos 2 días de especialidad que sean independientes, van a tener menos tiempo enfrente de la pantalla los alumnos. La clase de ELD también va a tener 2 tiempos donde pueden tener ese tiempo y esa clase, y no tienen que perder alguna otra clase. Una enlace para todos los alumnos de cualquier clase. El año pasado los alumnos tenían que manejar tantos enlaces. Esta vez solo van a tener que tener una. No importa cuál clase es, la misma enlace va a funcionar. Entonces no va a cambiar eso. Al lado de consejería y otros apoyos, ya hemos encontrado tiempo durante el día, cuando los alumnos no tienen que perder esos servicios y pueden recibir esos apoyos durante el día escolar. Y tienen descansos de tiempo de pantalla durante el día más largo. Entonces, aunque acaben más tarde, tienen más tiempo durante el día donde no tienen que andar enfrente de la pantalla, porque entendemos que es mucho. One thing I just did want to say about the specialty class, it's 2 live days and 2 asynchronous days, which means that they're still going to show up on those days to take attendance. And if they're all caught up with all their work, then they're going to be released to do the independent work. However, if the student is behind on work, that's when we might keep them. We might say, nope, you can't leave. We need you here. Keep your camera on, or even if you turn your camera off, you're going to get some work done, but you're going to get work here while we support you. So if the students want more of that independent time, they're going to have to be caught up. And if they need more support, that's when we're going to be able to support them while others are working independently. Is this me? Sorry. What stays the same? So, is that you, Celise?
Sorry about that. So what stays the same? The students will have the same main advisory teacher, and class will start at 9 a.m. every day. There will be IEP support in the classes. Students will have the same core teachers, and they'll be with the same group of students that they were in semester 1. They'll be with their peers. On Fridays, there's a live advisory class, but the rest of the day is asynchronous. So they will have assignments that they will have to do, but it will not be with a live teacher or live class. They will have access, they will continue to have access to the specialty classes. There will be intervention during the school day. And then there's social emotional support and advisory. And the assignments will be posted in Google Classroom.
Lo que va a permanecer igual, van a tener el mismo maestro de asesoría principal. La clase sigue empezando a las 9, no hay nada antes de las 9. El apoyo para IEP va a seguir adentro de las clases. Van a tener los mismos maestros para las clases de matemáticas, lectura, ciencia, historia. Van a tener los mismos compañeros en esas clases. La clase de asesoría el viernes va a seguir en vivo. El resto del viernes si es independiente. Acceso a las clases especiales va a seguir. Algunas escuelas les han quitado las clases selectivas y nuestros alumnos nos han comunicado que no quieren que hagamos eso. Van a tener el apoyo de intervención adentro del día escolar. Van a tener apoyo social emocional en la clase de asesoría y la aula virtual, el Google Classroom, también va a continuar. So let's talk master schedule. Let's talk about what the differences are. This is, we're going to go grade by grade, and I'll try to be as brief as possible. Vamos a ir grado por grado. Esto solo es un ejemplo. No es el mismo horario para todas las clases. So this is just a sample schedule. This is the actual schedule for air for a couple of the days, but it's not for every other 6th grade class. What you see in terms of the differences is that last year in semester 1, let me see if I can get my pointer here. So here, what happened last year was they'd have this advisory class over here, and then they'd have to leave and go to a different class with no transition. And so they'd have to leave advisory early or get to this class late. Some students would show up to advisory, but not to STEM, or they'd show up to STEM, but not to advisory. So now in any class that they have advisory, the next class is immediately there, so they don't have to leave. Now that means that they spend 2 hours with that teacher, so we're expecting the teacher to embed a screen break within that time. But they won't have to go anywhere. They won't have to leave the place virtually. When I talk about a screen break, I mean turning off the camera and walking away and muting yourself. I don't mean exiting the meeting virtually. Una de las cosas que fue una batalla el año pasado, o el semestre pasado, fue que los alumnos tenían la clase de asesoría y después tenían que ir con otro maestro de inmediato, y a veces los alumnos perdían la enlace o llegaban tarde y les faltaba clase. Ahora van a ver que cada vez que tienen la clase de asesoría, la próxima clase es con ese mismo maestro o maestra, para que no van a tener que perder tiempo. You'll see last year there was a 30-minute break and a 1-hour break. This time there are 2 60-minute breaks. El semestre pasado tuvieron un descanso de 30 minutos, otro de 1 hora. Esta vez van a ver que tienen 2 descansos de 1 hora cada vez para los alumnos. Y van a tener una clase de 90 minutos, una clase en vivo de 60 minutos y una clase de 70 minutos con trabajo independiente donde les damos tarea. Acá abajo van a ver que los días que no tienen asesoría tienen la clase de intervención. Quiere indicar que probablemente la mayoría de los alumnos no van a quedarse hasta las 11. Los únicos alumnos que se van a quedar hasta las 11 son los alumnos que ocupan el apoyo en grupo pequeño. Y en estos días, la clase electiva va a ser independiente. Los alumnos van a llegar, aunque si están a fecha con toda su tarea, les vamos a dejar trabajar de manera independiente. So the other thing you'll see is that there's one shorter class here for 70 minutes instead of 90, but there will be at least 20 minutes of homework related to that class. On this day over here, when they don't have advisory, they have intervention. Not all students will stay until 11 o'clock, but all students should be prepared to stay till 11 o'clock, because if you ever get a message that says your child missed intervention, it means that the teacher asked them to stick around and they didn't stay. But the end of class is meant to target small group support with either the teacher or a special education teacher or a paraeducator or the teacher themselves. And then you'll see here it says games async. That means that it's going to be independent. The student is going to show up, and then the teacher is going to explain the independent assignment and then release them as long as they're on track. If they're behind and they are not caught up, they may ask them to stay. And then they'll have a 70-minute session at the end of the day, and they'll be done at 3:10. For grade 7, again, similar thing with the advisory teacher. They stay with the same advisory teacher. The class that they have with humanities is going to be 100 minutes with that advisory teacher. And then they have 2 60-minute breaks on 2 days a week. 2 days a week in 7th grade, they have 60-minute breaks. 2 days a week, they have 1 50-minute break and 1 70-minute break. It still adds up to 120 minutes, still adds up to 2 hours. Lo que es diferente con grado séptimo es que 2 días a la semana tienen descansos de 60 minutos y 2 días a la semana tienen descanso, uno que sea 70 minutos y otro que sea 50 minutos. De todas maneras, cuando uno los pone juntos, sale a 2 horas. Y igual van a ver las clases de intervención en los días que no tienen asesoría. So let's look at 8th grade. So in 8th grade, you're going to see their breaks. This is where it's a little different for 8th grade. 8th grade, anytime you see live for a specialty class, handwork, GA, college readiness, games and movement, anytime handwork or specialty, any of those classes is live, they have 2 60-minute breaks that day. Anytime that handwork, specialty, any of those classes are asynchronous, which means independent, then the breaks are 45 minutes. So the breaks are shorter. However, there's also the other 60 minutes here that they're getting independent time. After they show up, attendance is taken and they're released. They will be released the vast majority of the time to independent work as long as they're caught up on their work. And then you'll see that they have 1 90-minute class and 1 120-minute class on these days that they have 60-minute breaks. And then over here, they have advisory, intervention, and asynchronous time, which is why their classes are longer, because they have the shorter amount of screen time in specialty. We also want to get them ready for high school and want to make sure that despite virtual learning, they are ready for high school. Lo que vamos a ver en la clase de grado octavo es que 2 veces a la semana tienen descanso de 60 minutos. Esos son los días que la clase de especialidad, la clase electiva, está en vivo. Cuando la clase electiva está independiente, esos días, ese tiempo independiente es menos tiempos enfrente de la pantalla con el maestro. Entonces, esos días el descanso solo es 45 minutos en vez de 60 minutos. Pero esto nos ayuda a asegurar que los alumnos de grado octava puedan tener mismo acceso o más acceso y preparación antes de culminar y llegar a high school.
Fridays. So on Fridays, we will continue to have live advisory. So students will start at 9 a.m. with their advisory teacher. This is also an opportunity to have small group tutoring, independent work. Students learn to be independent. This is a break for them from live class. They will still have work to do, but they will not be expected to be online all day. And fun activities. So we are thinking of more fun things, enrichment things to do on Fridays to give students that break that's needed. Again, we want to think about this as more of an opportunity for students to learn to be independent and complete the work when they can on a Friday.
Thank you, Dr. H. Para el viernes, andado sentado enfrente de la pantalla toda la semana, tenemos a muchos bien cansados. Entonces, tenemos la clase de asesoría en vivo a las 9 y después el resto del día es independiente. Si vamos a ofrecer tutoría de grupo pequeño, si podemos contratar a más gente, vamos a tener a más gente ofreciendo eso también. Es tiempo para que los alumnos aprendan cómo hacer el trabajo independiente. A veces pensamos que hay gente que piensa que si el maestro está ahí, el alumno no puede hacer nada. Y la verdad es que ya sabemos que los alumnos pueden tomar responsabilidad de su educación y hay muchos que pueden aprender demasiado o pueden practicar o pueden llegar a fecha con todo lo que tienen que completar en ese día porque tienen más tiempo independiente. Y también queremos que tengan un poco de descanso de la pantalla de clase en vivo porque es mucho y uno se puede cansar. También queremos planear más actividades divertidas para que los alumnos puedan llegar, formar amistades y tener amigos nuevos cuando llegan a la escuela en persona en el futuro. So, check your text messages by the end of the day, because by the end of today, you should have in your email and in your text messages a schedule that looks like this. If you are a parent of the AIR class, you will get this in your email. You will get it in your talking points. And hopefully I'll work with my office team. I actually haven't asked them yet, but I'll work with my office team so we can put together a mailer and send these out to you, and you can have it in color and post it on the fridge if you need it. But this will give you the schedule you need. For 8th grade, it will be a little different because for 8th grade, they only see the teachers twice a week, which means that last semester we had a Monday, Wednesday schedule and a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. And so if there was a holiday on a Monday, then those students only saw that teacher once a week instead of twice a week. And this coming semester, there are 5 Mondays that are different, that are either holidays or planning days or testing days, in which it's not going to be the same. And that means that those students would lose 10 hours, would have 10 hours less of time with the teachers than they would if we didn't alternate the schedule. So what we're going to have in 8th grade is more of an A-B schedule instead of a Monday, Tuesday schedule, which means it goes A-B, 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 A-B. And so if the week starts on a Tuesday because there was no school on Monday, they just have the next day schedule, then they have the opposite of what they had on Thursday. And it'll always continue. That will be confusing for students. It will be confusing for students, and I know it will be, but we'll send them weekly emails with it. And again, they only have one link to go to, and it'll never change. They have to log in at 9 a.m. So even if they're confused and they're expecting to see Mr. Underwood and they see Miss Bradford, they're still going to be in the right place because they just need that one link. So they won't get lost. Para los de, quiero que se fijen en su correo electrónico y mensajes textos antes del fin de día. Les vamos a mandar los horarios de sus hijos para la próxima semana. También se los vamos a mandar a los alumnos en correo electrónico. Queremos que lo guarden, lo imprimen, le hagan screenshot, le pongan favorite ahí en las fotos para que no lo pierdan. Y siempre van a saber dónde tienen que andar sus alumnos. Para los de grado octavo se va a ver un poco diferente porque hay día A y día B. En vez de lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, porque ellos tienen 5 maestros. Los maestros de grado 6 y 7 solo tienen 3 los alumnos, pero tienen 5 en grado octavo. Quiere indicar si hay un día festivo o un día como este próximo lunes donde no hay escuela, los alumnos les falta esa clase y no lo tienen, solo tienen esa clase una vez a la semana. Entonces lo que vamos a hacer es, va a cambiar el horario al opuesto de lo que fue el día anterior. Digamos, un día tienen la clase de matemática y historia, el próximo día tienen la clase de ciencia y lectura. Si el jueves tuvieron la clase de ciencia y lectura, el lunes es día festivo, el martes van a tener la clase de matemáticas y historia. No van a tener el mismo sujeto 2 días seguidos, aunque tengamos día festivo. So I think that's an easier way to explain it in English. If they have math and history on one day and science and ELA on another day. So if they have science and ELA on a Thursday, on Tuesday after a holiday, even though they didn't have school on Monday, they're not going to have science again. They're never going to have the same content 2 days in a row, even after the weekend. It'll be science and ELA, and then math and history. So resources.
The next several slides are extremely valuable platforms and resources that your students see every day. And we would like for you to become familiar with these too. So the very first one is our school website, where you can get to the online distance learning website from. And please look at our beautiful illustrations. Really, really cool to have those.
El sitio web. Si no andan utilizando el sitio web, queremos que aprendan cómo utilizarlo hoy, porque hay mucha información llegando allí que van a poder usar.
From that last illustration, our getting into the distance learning websites, there are 2 different ways to get in. One as a student, another as a parent. The biggest difference is you can see parents. When you log in, you can see everything the student sees, but you don't have access to the link for safety reasons. Of course, we don't want our links out for everyone, just for our students. But our students log on, and you can log on to it again. You see everything. Also, they can get to their distance learning website if they just simply go to their internet from their Chromebook.
Al lado de este sitio hay 2 maneras para entrar. Uno es como alumno y la otra manera es como padre. Para llegar como alumno, el alumno tiene que estar inscrito al sitio, a su cuenta de ECMS Gardena. Usted como padre no puede llegar a este sitio sin que tengan la contraseña de su alumno. La razón es por la seguridad al lado de los enlaces que son para los alumnos. Acá no se requiere ninguna contraseña. Pueden llegar y van a poder ver el horario de sus alumnos. Are we ready for the next slide, Dean Royal?
Okay, so this slide shows that you can select your student's grade level. So if your student is in 6th grade, you would click on the 6th grade icon. The same thing for 7th and 8th grade. On this page also is news and announcements. So each week there's a weekly bulletin, and that has information for the school. It is also posted on this webpage.
En esta, ya que eligen, ya que eligen que son un alumno o padre, van a poder ver y van a poder elegir el grado de su hijo o su hija. También van a poder ver las noticias, el boletín de Águilas con las noticias. Ya que le hagan clic, digamos, en el grado 7º, van a llegar aquí y van a poder ver todos los maestros del grado 7º. Van a poder ver las horas de tutoría, van a poder ver los correos electrónicos y hasta las fotos, y van a poder elegir la clase de sus alumnos.
Okay, loosely translated from Mr. Trejo is once you select your student's grade, then you'll see all of the teachers for the 7th grade or for the 6th grade or for 8th grade. And in conjunction with that, you have the cohort. So if your student is in summer cohort, winter, spring, or fall for the 7th grade. Just below their pictures is their contact information, and then when they provide tutoring during the week. So for example, you can see Ms. McMillan, it has her email address. You can contact her by clicking that, and it'll take you to where you can send her to an email. And then she provides tutoring on Wednesday from 3:15 to 4:15, as it's stated here. And then the same thing for Mr. Limon, Mr. Valles, and Mr. Gibson. Just below are the ed specialist and the paraeducator who also work in collaboration with the teachers to provide support.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead and let's say we're going to click on winter here. Vamos a hacer como que le hagamos clic en la clase de invierno. Llegando aquí, se puede ver que pueden elegir cada día de la semana para ver el horario del alumno de ese día. Pueden ver el tutoría de todos los maestros otra vez. Pueden ver, pueden agarrar la enlace para PowerSchool para bajar la aplicación a su teléfono, o pueden usarlo por computadora para poder ver las calificaciones y asistencia de sus alumnos.
So if we select a day and we select Wednesday, and the next slide will show you what Wednesday looks like once you click on the day. But here you can see the Google Classroom for all the teachers that your student has. You will see PowerSchool login information for the iPhone or an Android. And then if you need PowerSchool information, there's the office email where you can email to get that information. And then tutoring again is listed on the side. So everything for the whole week is laid out on this slide.
Llegando aquí a esta página, se puede ver, ya que elegimos el día de la semana, podemos ver con quién empiezan el día, con quién, en cuál clase están. Vamos a poder ver el tiempo que tienen la clase. Vamos a poder ver la tutoría de ese maestro o maestra, cómo comunicarnos con ellos, qué tarea tienen allí ese día y qué se tiene que entregar, qué tienen que completar para saber eso. Todo esto se actualiza cada sábado antes de que empiece la próxima semana. Entonces, si ven el sitio hoy, va a tener información de antes de diciembre, antes de que se acabe este sábado. Vamos a completar el sitio y van a poder ver todo a nuevo, pero esto se puede ver cada semana para cada día.
When you move on this page, you will be able to see your child's teachers, what time the class is, when tutoring is happening, what's going on in class, and what's due that day homework. And you'll see their schedule laid out here. This is updated every Saturday. So by Sunday, you should be able to see all of the things updated. If you go on the website right now, you will see things before break. It has not been updated yet, but it will be updated tomorrow.
Okay, so from this slide, you can actually find this a few different places, but it's, if you click on your child's grade and you scroll down, it's in several different places, so you really can't miss it. But one of the biggest things on here is your PowerSchool login. You can get that from the front office, but that's where you can check their grades, their GPA, their tardies and absences. So if you're getting those messages that your student wasn't in class or they didn't attend intervention, et cetera, it's confirmed through PowerSchool. Also on this page, you can find tech support. So if your kid is having problems logging in, or there's some issues, tech issues, period, you can contact tech support from this page. All the contact information is there, as well as the front office contact information is here as well. Also, there's some information, small, brief information about your kid being absent and what you do during that time or when that happens.
Aquí también en el sitio van a poder ver otra vez cómo llegar a PowerSchool. Le tenemos comunicación para qué pueden hacer si su hijo está marcado ausente, y si ocupan apoyo técnico. Esta información de contacto está aquí y ellos le pueden ayudar mucho más rápido que la oficina. El único trabajo de ellos es apoyar lo técnico. La oficina tiene que hacer asistencia, apoyar a las familias con la comida, hacer cita para obtener papelaje de vacunas. Ellos tienen mucho que hacer y quizás se tardan más. Si quieren el apoyo más rápido, van a querer comunicarse aquí con ellos. And then one thing I'll just say on behalf of the office staff is, if you want tech support or need it, this is who you want to contact. It's so much faster than contacting our office, because our office not only is doing tech support, they're also doing food support. They're making appointments with families. They're scheduling parent meetings. They're getting paperwork for vaccinations. It's a lot going on. So if you need support quickly, technically, tech support's going to be your best bet.
And if you scroll some more down that page, there is some more information here. One thing to highlight, especially Woodcraft Rangers. I encourage everyone to become a part of that program. One of the biggest things they're doing is sending healthy meals every Monday to your house, organic healthy meals every Monday to your house. If you're a part of the program though, I encourage all families to sign their kid up for it and ensure their kid is participating in it. Yes, it could be more screen time, but it's actually fun activities, right? Robotics, art, physical activities, everything fun that kids like. So that's a part of our after school program. Also, the changes that we made from last semester, that came from suggestions from you. Suggestions from our kids and things that we saw within our data. So please use our feedback to let us know how we can do things better. We're here to support you.
Very good point in regards to the feedback. Gracias a Decana Royal, lo que anda comunicando al lado del programa.
Dave, you cut out.
I unmuted myself by accident. Disculpe. Lo que andamos comunicando es que también tenemos en el sitio la enlace para el programa de After School, que es completamente gratis. Sí es virtual, pero es completamente gratis y tienen muchas actividades como clases de ciencias matemáticas, también hasta de cocinar. El semestre pasado hasta andaban dando comida a los que andaban participando en la clase de cocinar para que puedan participar desde casa. Hay muchas oportunidades creativas que andan haciendo. Y siempre si nos quieren dar alguna sugerencia o nos quieren comunicar algo, por favor, nos los manden. Siempre en el sitio va a haber oportunidad para darnos realimentación. Los cambios que hemos hecho, cada vez que lo hemos hecho, los hemos hecho al lado para responder a lo que hemos comunicado, lo que han comunicado ustedes en las encuestas. And then we have Google Classroom. Google Classroom, if you are not already signed up for Google Classroom, by which like you've already accepted the email from the email invitation that the teacher sent out in semester 1, then you should be getting either a weekly or daily summary of classwork and what they've done or what your student has done, what they've turned in, what's coming up. If you're not getting this, it means either you haven't accepted it or you haven't changed your settings. But this is the easiest way to be able to see what your student has to do, what they've turned in, what they haven't, and so on, aside from seeing the Power School grades. Si no han aceptado la invitación de los maestros, cada maestro tiene clase virtual que se llama Google Classroom, donde ponen toda la tarea. Allí está toda la tarea que se tiene que entregar, todo lo que tienen que hacer. Los maestros ya les mandaron correo electrónico a todos los que tenían correo electrónico comunicado con nosotros. Si no lo han tenido, le van a tener que mandar un correo electrónico a los maestros. If you are not receiving these and you want to, you can either go look in your email for Google Classroom to see if you were invited. And if not, you want to email the teachers. Si pueden fijarse en su correo electrónico y le revisan y a ver si le han llegado un email desde de Google Classroom con las invitaciones. Si no le ha llegado, le va a querer mandar, como ya les enseñamos cómo accesar los correos. Les enseñamos ya cómo encontrar los correos electrónicos. Van a poder mandarle correo electrónico a los maestros y decirles mi nombre, comunican su nombre, de quién son el padre o madre y piden que los inviten al Google Classroom y así de fácil los vamos a poder invitar. If you do not have a Google Classroom invite in your junk mail or in your search, or you just never included your email, we already showed you how to get to the teacher email addresses. Send an email, tell us who you're the parent of, and ask to be invited to the Google Classroom. Only the teacher can do this. If you send it to us, we'll forward it to them, but it's going to be much faster if you send it directly to the teacher.
All right. So our students in 2 weeks will be taking a test called the NWA Math growth assessment. If you are a 7th or 8th grade parent, you may be familiar with this test already. It is a test that we usually give in person 3 times a year, and it helps us to see where students are and what they're ready to learn. So we are going to do this remotely. It has been more difficult to see where students are online during distance learning, and so this test will give us some data to really help our teachers plan to make sure our students are successful. So it's a measure of growth and improvement over time. They will be given a reading test and a math test. Again, why are we doing this? It's going to help us understand what students know and what they're ready to learn. How are we doing this? It will be remote, no in-person testing. As Mr. Trejo said this morning, we have stopped all of in-person assessments. So it'll be 2 days online together in advisory classes. It'll be Monday and Tuesday, the 25th and the 26th. Support that we need from you all as families. You will receive an invitation to join your child's advisory class to learn more about the structure and how to create a quiet testing environment at home. This is really, really important, and we need your support to help monitor students while they're taking this test online.
So as I prepare to translate that, I just put in the chat box a link to our ECMS Gardena distance learning website. And then Dr. RH, while I translate this, will you grab the link view only for this slide deck, so we can also drop it here in the chat box for anyone that's here, and they can take it as well. We'll email it to them as well, Ms. Isabel, we hope, and that way we can share it with folks. Gracias. Voy a traducir un poco. Mientras ando traduciendo, les quiero comunicar que en la caja chat puse el enlace para el sitio web que le andamos enseñando, donde tienen el horario de los alumnos, donde tiene el correo electrónico de los maestros y toda esa información que le andamos enseñando. También le vamos a poner un enlace para esta presentación y se lo vamos a mandar por correo electrónico para que tengan acceso y puedan ver los cambios con más tiempo. El lunes, el 25 de enero y el martes 26 de enero vamos a tener examen NWEA, que es un examen académico por computadora, que es un poco más largo, pero es para medir el progreso de los alumnos en lectura y en matemáticas. Es un poco más difícil, pues no un poco, es mucho más difícil saber verdaderamente qué son los obstáculos virtualmente cuando un alumno que ha hecho bien en el pasado está batallando con el aprendizaje a distancia. Este examen nos ayuda a identificar quién está batallando porque están atrasados y no han aprendido esto, y quién está batallando pero tiene mucho potencial porque vimos en el examen que tienen examen o resultado alto. Va a ser por computadora, por internet. Vamos a preguntarles y pedirles a ustedes que les den más apoyo a sus alumnos para enfocarse esos 2 días que normalmente dan, si normalmente están bien independientes los alumnos. Si normalmente los alumnos tienen mucho de su apoyo, entonces ni se tienen que preocupar, van a hacer igual lo mismo. Les vamos a mandar un correo electrónico con más información y los vamos a invitar a ustedes a que participen en una clase de asesoría con los alumnos, para que lleguen a clase con los alumnos y estén ahí al lado de ellos en la cámara para poder escuchar de los maestros los más detalles cuando es más cercano a la fecha. Y ahí está la información en español que se tradució, pero ahorita les platiqué mientras andaba ahí todo en inglés. Pero nos va a ayudar a comprender dónde están los alumnos académicamente. Ahora estamos listos para preguntas. En la caja chat también les pusimos el enlace para esta presentación para que puedan verlos en su tiempo cuando quieran y tengan acceso después de esta junta. The slide deck is linked in the chat box, so you can access it at any time. We'll also email it to you. But if you have questions now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can answer any questions. If you raise your virtual hand, we'll ask you to unmute yourself. or you can type it in the Q&A in the chat box. There was a question on YouTube about volunteer hours for 8th grade. Mr. Delgado will be sending that information out to 8th grade families and 8th grade students very soon. But we're here for questions. If you don't have any questions, feel free to sign off. But Mr. Huerta, I am gonna see if you can unmute yourself. Go for it, Mr. Huerta. We miss having you on campus.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hi, Miss Holden, Miss Royal. Sorry about that. Mr. Trejo, I know Miss Heron doesn't know me, and Miss Isabel don't know me. Quick question: in the event that everything is uplifted and we are in great spirits again, optimistic about it, truly. I know at the end of the school year we do have the trips, the camping trips and things like that. Will you guys still proceed with everything like that? Because I know we do have kids that did come in from other schools and things like that. But will you guys continue the trips, or will we postpone them completely until next school year?
So as far as the trips go for this school year, they are completely postponed because the camp spaces that we work with, like when we book those trips, they get booked out 4 to 5 months in advance minimum, and no one is booking anything right now.
Okay, awesome. So just projectively, it's just going to be returning to school and nothing else other than that.
If we come back this semester, if we're allowed to come back this semester, it will likely go in a transition of like small groups, larger groups once in a while, and eventually larger groups more consistently.
Okay,
so
awesome.
it'll be a slow transition. You won't ever have a meeting or an email or an EGA bulletin that says everyone's required 5 days a week tomorrow or next week. Like, we'll give more time. And for this school year, the county has said that if people feel uncomfortable sending their children, even no matter what happens this semester, that we'll have to offer a virtual option. They have not required that for the fall, so we haven't made that decision yet, if we're going to have a virtual option or if virtual is going to be the only option. Like, we're taking things month by month at this point.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. La pregunta fue al lado de los viajes. Los que han andado aquí con nosotros anteriormente saben que hay viajes cada año para los alumnos, donde los llevamos al campamento para que estén en la naturaleza afuera de los electrónicos y puedan conectar y establecer relaciones bien profundas. Pero este año no lo vamos a poder hacer. Ya para el próximo año esperamos que ojalá que sí, pero para este año no nos andan permitiendo hasta reservar los espacios porque se tiene que hacer con tanto tiempo adelante de tiempo. Pero esperamos que ya para el próximo año lo podamos hacer y cuando regresamos a la escuela, les vamos a dar mucha noticia avanzada. Nunca va a ser de una semana a la próxima o de un día al próximo. Dr. RH, on YouTube, there is a question about what time will the test be on the 25th and the 26th?
Good question. The test block time will be from 9:30 to 11:30. So students will have 2 hours to complete the test. But if they do not finish in that time, there will be makeup testing as well to finish.
And they'll start at 9 o'clock with the advisory to prepare, but testing starts at 9:30.
Yes.
Una pregunta en el YouTube es al lado de a qué hora va a ser los exámenes del 25 al 26. Van a ser los exámenes de 9:30 a 11:30. La clase de asesoría va a empezar a las 9 para prepararlos, pero el examen empieza a las 9:30. Ms. Isabel, will you answer the question about applications for new students?
My pleasure, Mr. Trejo. The applications for the new students, any parents can go into the website that is called applyla.schoolmeet, and you can submit an interest form for the students to participate in our lottery. En este momento, cualquier familia puede accesar el sitio en la red llamado applyla.schoolmeet diagonal School Mint y pueden someter un formulario de interés para que su estudiante participe en el sorteo que se realizará más adelante. Estaremos anunciando la fecha próximamente.
I put the link in the chat box, Ms. Isabel. If you have families and you know families, please send them our way. Now is a good time to get into the raffle. Before I see someone with their hand up, but I think I saw another question in there from, if a student is slightly late to class, how much time do they have before they are marked absent? If they are late, the student should be doing two things. They should be ensuring that their teacher knows that they're there, that they see them, like, hey, I'm here, do you see me? And if they're unsure of that, make sure that they stick around at the end of class and say, hey, if Dean Royal is my teacher, hey, Ms. Royal, I just wanted to make sure you saw me so that you can mark me present because I was a little late. And that's the best thing the student can do. If they weren't able to do that, you want to make sure that you also contact the front office. And then I see Colleen Espinoza. Hi, Ms. Espinoza.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for being here again.
Yes, my question is for the 8th graders. I'm not sure, I know my students should know, but I want to know myself. When they go for the requirements to graduate to the high schools, they have to go to 3 different high schools to get, what are they supposed to get from them?
You just need proof of having applied to those schools.
So is it 3 or 5?
I think in the past, it's always been 5. What we really are saying is that there are some schools, in particular district schools, that when you apply to them, it's not really like a raffle application because they're a district school, so they have to find a space for you if you live within that zone.
Right.
But if you have you're never going to go to that school no matter what.
Right.
Don't apply there just for the sake of applying. We want you to apply to at least 3 so that you have options and choices and you don't get like hamstrung and then like something changes your mind and you find out something about that school afterwards and you're like, wait, this is my only option. We want you to have options and to have choice. If you find a school that they're going into, a sibling's already there, you've already been accepted, and like there's nothing's going to change your mind, you're going to go there, then just communicate with Mr. Delgado so that in the event that you don't apply to the minimum amount, which I think is 3 this year, you're always going to be able to explain why. Like,
okay.
It's never going to be like, oh, you didn't meet that requirement. You don't get to culminate. It's going to be, it's going to be,
okay.
There's a valid excuse. There's been communication. You'll be okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Be safe out there, you guys.
Yeah, please. Thank you. You too. Are there any other questions that we're missing?
There's a question about ECHS Gardena Day.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Again, we're going to push that out to the 8th graders very soon. I don't want to jinx anything, but we're looking at a space, and there's a space that we're working to secure. If that space gets secured, then there's going to be a whole lot more information coming soon. However, there is a link. Oh, you know what? I'm not even thinking about the high school website that we created. We should be linking the high school website. We worked on the high school website that will help you make decisions with your students. We pushed it out to you via text message before winter break, but I want to make sure that you have it. So if you give me 10 seconds, if there's another question that can be answered while I find that, by all means, go answer it. Anyone on staff? Because Mr. Huerta, there is a Google form to express interest, and then they'll send you information directly. Okay, 8th grade families, you're gonna want to click on that website and save it. I will put it in YouTube in just a second, but that website For those of you in 8th grade, you'll be able to see, it says ECMS Gardena High School Resources, public charter schools, district schools, or private schools. If you click on public charter schools, you'll see there's information on ECHS immediately. There's information on ECHS Gardena. It tells you how far away this school is from Gardena. We don't have a distance yet because we're securing that location. And then every other charter school in the area is here. And you can see how far away they are. And if you were to click on any of them, if you were to click on Bright Star, you'll see that Bright Star is 4.2 miles away. You have a link to the application, a link to their promotional videos, information about athletics, any information that they sent us out, you'll be able to see. So we're hoping to make it a lot easier for those of you in 8th grade, with students in 8th grade to apply to schools. Are there any other questions? If you don't have any more questions, the only thing I'm going to work on is sending links to the YouTube, the folks that are still on YouTube. For those of you on YouTube that come back to watch the video on YouTube later, not in the live chat, but in the comments of the video, I have put all the links that we have for this, the distance learning website, the application for new students, high school resources, and our distance learning website. Everything is there for you. You will get a reminder on Sunday or Monday about the Monday meeting. You don't need to come back to it if you came to this one. We thank you for being here. Have a great weekend. Please, please stay safe. There's no school Monday. All right, unless you guys see any, you folks see any questions that I missed, I am going to end the meeting and take a 15-minute break before our next meeting. Thank you, Ms. Revelo Rodriguez. Gracias a todos.